You've arrived at Adventures in Dreamland. Soft, surreal, and slightly cheeky sleep stories with awe and wonder. I'm Serene, your guide tonight. Whether you're here for sleepy science, surreal dreamscapes, or stories that shape who you're becoming, I'm grateful you're here. I write these stories to help you drift and grow. Each night, you're welcomed into a dreamy space from across the world. I'd love to know where you are and what makes your space extra cozy. Running a story cabin in the clouds isn't free. The greatest gift you can give to support my work is sharing our adventures with a friend. Now, we return to what we are. Every living organism on this planet, no matter how small or complex, wants the same thing. Every action we take is for this one thing: to avoid pain and obtain bliss. Bliss is a state of endless joy, mixed with peace beyond our knowing. Whether you call it the soul, awareness, or your highest self, that part of you, during deep sleep, temporarily withdraws from the body and the conscious mind and returns to the freedom and unity with the divine. Bliss without awareness. This restores not just the body and mind, but our spirits too, offering a sense of inner peace and clarity. So yes, sleep is sacred. You are returning back to your natural state. Freedom. Your story begins. The Invention of the Microwave is episode 84 and part of our Dream Wonders playlist, where we appreciate fascinating facts in our world of wonder. 1. The chocolate that melted. The air hums with something invisible. You find yourself standing in a laboratory, cluttered with wires, metal boxes, and machines you don't recognize. The year is 1945. The place is Waltham, Massachusetts, USA. Inside the sprawling facilities of the Raytheon Corporation. Yes, that Raytheon, the defense giant worth billions today. The company that builds missiles and radar systems for the United States military. But we'll get to that later. Right now, you're watching a man in a rumpled lab coat, standing too close to a large metal tube mounted on a workbench. He's maybe 50 years old, stocky, with thick hands that look like they've built things their whole life. His brow is furrowed, not with worry, but with curiosity. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a chocolate bar, soft, warm, and completely melted. You blink. Okay, either this guy has a serious body heat problem, or something very strange is happening in this room. The man stares at the chocolate, then at the machine, then back at the chocolate. I did that, something whispers. Not the man, something else. Something humming inside the metal tube, low and constant, like a cat purring if the cat were made of electricity and radar waves. I am the magnetron. I was built to find enemy planes in the dark. But today, I found something else. The man, his name is Percy Spencer, doesn't hear the whisper, but he feels something, that tingle in his gut that every inventor knows, the one that says, "This is not an accident. This is a door." He looks at the magnetron, still humming. He looks at the chocolate, still dripping. And instead of wiping his hands and moving on, Percy Spencer does what separates the curious from the world changers. He asks, "What else can this do?" 2. The man who taught himself everything. Before we watch Percy change history, you need to understand who he was, because the man standing in that lab, the one with chocolate on his fingers and wonder in his eyes, was never supposed to be there at all. Percy Spencer was born in 1894 in Howland, Maine, a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. His father died before Percy turned 2. His mother, unable or unwilling to cope, abandoned him shortly after. He was raised by his aunt and uncle, poor people in a poor place, doing their best with what little they had. When Percy was 7, his uncle died too. I have watched many minds, the magnetron hums, brilliant ones, educated ones, credentialed ones, but Percy was different. Percy was forged in lack, and lack made him hungry in ways that plenty never could. Percy never finished grammar school. Let that sink in. The man who would become one of the most important inventors of the 20th century, holder of 150 patents, solver of problems that stumped PhDs, never made it past the 6th grade. But he had something degrees can't give you: relentless curiosity. At 12, he got a job at a spool mill, wiring the factory for electricity. He'd never studied electrical engineering. He just figured it out, watched, listened, took things apart, and put them back together until his hands knew what his schooling never taught him. At 18, he joined the Navy, not for adventure, for knowledge. He'd heard they taught radio technology, and radio was the future. He studied trigonometry, calculus, chemistry, physics, and metallurgy, all on his own, all from borrowed textbooks, often by candlelight after his shifts. He learned the way fire learns, the magnetron whispers, by consuming everything it touches. By the time World War II broke out, Percy Spencer was one of the leading experts on radar in the world. Companies fought over him, governments consulted him, and Raytheon, a small electronics company desperate to mass-produce magnetrons for the war effort, hired him to solve an impossible problem. The military needed magnetrons, thousands of them. The existing process produced about 17 per day. Percy studied the manufacturing line for weeks. Then he redesigned it. Production jumped to 2,600 per day. He didn't just improve the process, he reinvented it, without a degree, without formal training, armed only with the education he'd given himself, one borrowed book at a time. And now, standing in that lab in 1945, chocolate dripping down his fingers, Percy Spencer was about to do it again. 3. What is a magnetron? Percy wipes his hand on his coat and steps closer to the machine. You follow, leaning in to get a better look at the humming metal tube that started all this. "Let me introduce myself properly," the magnetron says. Doesn't look like much. A heavy cylinder of copper and metal, mounted inside a housing of wires and coolant pipes. But inside that cylinder, something extraordinary is happening. I generate microwaves, not the appliance, the actual waves. Electromagnetic radiation, shorter than radio waves, longer than infrared, invisible, silent, and very, very fast. The magnetron was invented in the 1920s, but it wasn't until 1940 that British scientists figured out how to make it powerful enough to matter. They called it the cavity magnetron, and it changed the war. Before me, radar was weak. It could detect planes, but not well, not far, not in time. I changed that. I made radar sharp, precise, deadly. You see images flickering in the hum, the Battle of Britain, German bombers filling the sky, British radar stations tracking them through the night. The magnetron helped the RAF know exactly where the enemy was coming from, exactly when to scramble. It helped win the war. Raytheon built me by the thousands, the magnetron continues. Percy figured out how to birth me faster than anyone thought possible. I was a weapon, a watcher, a guardian in the dark. But weapons, it turns out, have other uses. The microwaves that the magnetron generates, those invisible waves designed to bounce off enemy aircraft, they do something else too. They agitate water molecules, make them vibrate, and vibration creates heat. Percy didn't know this yet, not consciously, but his melted chocolate bar was the first clue. I was built to find things, the magnetron hums. Planes, ships, missiles in the night. But Percy saw something else in me. He saw breakfast. Percy turns to his assistant, a young man named Roger, and says something that will echo through history. "Go get some popcorn." 4. The experiment begins. Roger returns with a bag of unpopped kernels, looking confused. Percy takes them without explanation, pours a handful onto the workbench near the magnetron, and steps back. The machine hums. The kernels sit there, yellow and still. And then, pop. Pop, 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 pop. The kernels explode into fluffy white clouds, bouncing across the bench, scattering onto the floor, ricocheting off equipment. Roger yelps and jumps backward. Percy laughs, a deep, delighted belly laugh. "I felt it," the magnetron whispers. The water inside each kernel, superheating in an instant. The pressure building, the tiny explosion of transformation. I was not just detecting things anymore. I was changing them. Percy scoops up a piece of popcorn, still warm, and pops it into his mouth. His eyes are bright. His mind is racing. "Get me an egg," he says. Roger hesitates. "Sir?" "An egg. From the cafeteria. Now." Roger returns with an egg. Percy sets it near the magnetron, closer this time. directly in the path of the invisible waves. A small crowd has gathered now, other engineers drawn by the commotion, the popping, the laughter. The magnetron hums, the egg sits, and then, with a sound like a wet firecracker, it explodes. Shell and yolk spray everywhere. A colleague named John takes a direct hit to the face, sputtering, wiping hot egg from his glasses. Percy doubles over laughing. The microwaves penetrated the shell, the magnetron explains. They heated the liquid inside so fast that steam built up faster than it could escape. The egg became a bomb, a tiny, delicious, protein-filled bomb. But Percy isn't just laughing. He's thinking. The chocolate didn't melt from the outside in, like a stove would heat it. It melted from the inside out. The popcorn didn't burn on the surface. It exploded from within. The egg didn't cook slowly. It detonated. These waves, these invisible radar-borne waves, they heat differently, faster, deeper. They excite the molecules inside something rather than warming its surface. Percy looks at the magnetron with new eyes. "We can cook with this," he says quietly. "Not just heat. Cook. Fast." He turns to Roger, still wiping popcorn from his hair. "Build me a metal box. Something to contain the waves. Something we can put food inside." And just like that, the magnetron hums, I stopped being a weapon. I started becoming something else. Something that would end up in every kitchen in the world. Something that would change how humanity eats. The self-taught orphan from Maine stares at the scattered popcorn and the splattered egg, and he sees the future. 5. From weapon to kitchen. The metal box is crude, just a container with a hole cut in one side for the magnetron to aim through. But it works. Percy places a cup of water inside, closes the door, turns on the magnetron. 30 seconds later, the water is boiling. "I was designed to bounce waves off bombers," the magnetron hums. Now I was boiling water in a box. The universe has a strange sense of humor. Percy runs test after test. Soup, meat, vegetables. Everything cooks faster than any oven, any stove, any method known to man. And it cooks from the inside, evenly, thoroughly, without burning the surface. In October 1945, Raytheon files a patent. The application describes a method of treating foodstuffs using electromagnetic energy. It sounds clinical, boring. It doesn't mention that a self-taught orphan discovered it because his chocolate bar melted. It doesn't mention the popcorn explosion or the egg in the face. Patents rarely capture the joy. By 1947, Raytheon is ready to sell the first commercial microwave oven. They call it the Radarange, a name that sounds like science fiction, because in 1947, it basically is. "I was massive," the magnetron remembers, 6 feet tall, 750 pounds. I required a dedicated electrical line and a water cooling system. I cost $5,000, nearly $70,000 in your modern money. You see the Radarange standing in a commercial kitchen, towering over the cooks like a metal monolith. It's the size of a refrigerator, humming with power, capable of cooking a meal in seconds. But who could afford it? Who had room for it? Only restaurants, ocean liners, railroad dining cars. The Radarange was a marvel, but it was a marvel for the few. The home kitchen, the place where it would eventually change everything, couldn't fit it through the door. Percy watches from the factory floor as the first units ship out. He knows this is just the beginning. The technology works. Now, it just needs to shrink. Weapons always shrink, the magnetron whispers. The cannon becomes the pistol. The room-sized computer becomes the phone in your pocket. And I would become small enough to sit on a counter, small enough to reheat leftovers, small enough to feel ordinary. Raytheon today is one of the largest defense contractors on the planet, a behemoth worth over $150 billion. They build Tomahawk missiles, Patriot air defense systems, radar technology for fighter jets, classified projects that most people will never know about. I am still there, the magnetron hums, in the radar systems that guide missiles, in the detection arrays that watch the skies. My descendants are more precise, more powerful, more deadly than I ever was. You see images of military hardware, sleek and terrifying, missiles launching, radar dishes spinning, the technology of war, refined across 8 decades. And then you see a break room, fluorescent lights, vending machines, and in the corner, a microwave, white, ordinary, humming softly as someone reheats their lunch. Both things are true, the magnetron says. The company that builds weapons of war also invented the thing that warms your soup, the same science that detects enemies, feeds families. This is not a contradiction. This is how technology works. It flows like water, finding every crack, filling every need, military and domestic, terrifying and tender. But that would take 20 more years. 6. The microwave shrinks. The scene shifts forward. The laboratory is gone. You're standing in a gleaming showroom. The year is 1967, and everything looks like the future imagined by the past. Rounded corners, bright colors, optimism in every angle. On a pedestal in the center of the room sits a countertop microwave oven, compact, sleek, almost friendly looking. I had become domesticated, the magnetron hums, no longer a beast of radar stations and warships. Now I was a pet, a helper, a quiet presence in the American kitchen. The first countertop microwave, the Raytheon Radarange, they kept the name, hit stores in 1967, priced at $495. Still expensive, but no longer impossible. A family could save up for one. A restaurant could buy several, and people did. By 1970, microwave ovens were selling steadily. By 1975, they outsold gas ranges. By the 1990s, over 90% of American homes had one, more than dishwashers, more than garbage disposals, more than almost any other appliance. I became invisible, the magnetron says, the way truly successful technology always does. No one thinks about me anymore. They just press a button and expect their food to be warm. They don't know about the radar waves. They don't know about the war. They don't know about Percy. You watch a montage of decades. Microwaves in avocado green, in sleek black, in stainless steel. Microwaves in college dorms and office break rooms. Microwaves in gas stations and movie theaters. The technology born from detecting enemy aircraft, now reheating burritos at 2 a.m. TV dinners explode in popularity because now they can be ready in minutes. Popcorn becomes synonymous with movies at home because now it pops at the push of a button. Leftovers get a second life instead of being thrown away. I changed how your species eats, the magnetron says, not in dramatic ways, in quiet ones, in saved minutes and reheated mornings and midnight snacks that didn't require turning on a stove. I became part of the rhythm of daily life, so constant, so reliable, that you forgot I was ever miraculous. But behind every beep, every spinning turntable, every steaming cup of instant coffee, the same invisible waves that once found bombers in the night. 7. Raytheon. Today, the showroom fades. You're somewhere else now. A corporate campus, glass and steel, flags fluttering in the Massachusetts wind. The Raytheon logo gleams above the entrance. This is what we became, the magnetron says. Percy's company, the place where I was born. Percy never saw Raytheon become what it is today. He died in 1970 at 76 years old, still inventing, still curious, still the self-taught boy who wired a factory at 12 because no one told him he couldn't. But his fingerprints are everywhere, the magnetron whispers, in the missiles and in the kitchens, in the war rooms and in the break rooms. The orphan from Maine who never finished grammar school. His curiosity echoes in every radar pulse and every reheated meal. 8. The hum that feeds the world. The corporate campus fades. You're standing in a kitchen now, quiet, ordinary, familiar. Maybe it's your kitchen. Maybe it's a memory of one. A microwave sits on the counter. The clock on its display glows softly, and inside, the magnetron, descendant of the one that melted Percy's chocolate, waits. I am in almost every kitchen on Earth, the magnetron says. Billions of me, humming in apartments and houses, in hospitals and hotels, in places Percy Spencer never imagined, in countries he never visited. The voice is gentle now, almost tired, almost proud. But the man who made me possible, the orphan, the self-taught genius, the engineer who revolutionized radar, do you know what he received for inventing the microwave oven? A pause. $2. You feel that, land. $2. A bonus from Raytheon for his discovery. No royalties, no percentage, no fortune. The company made billions. Percy got a pat on the back and enough money to buy lunch. He didn't seem to mind, the magnetron says. He kept working, kept inventing. 150 patents by the time he died. He wasn't in it for the money. He was in it for the questions, for the melted chocolate bars and the exploding eggs, for the joy of figuring things out. You see Percy now, not young, not old, just Percy, standing in his lab, chocolate on his fingers, wonder in his eyes. He never forgot where he came from, the magnetron whispers, the poverty, the abandonment, the borrowed books, and the candlelit studying. He knew that curiosity was the only inheritance that mattered, and he spent his whole life proving that you don't need a degree to change the world. You just need to pay attention when something unexpected happens. The kitchen softens around you. The microwave's hum becomes indistinguishable from the quiet of your own room. Every time you press a button and hear that hum, you're hearing Percy's question. What else can this do? Every time you warm your hands on a hot cup of coffee at midnight, you're touching the answer. The display light dims. The hum grows gentle. Sleep now. You carry curiosity in your bones, just like he did. And tomorrow, or next week, or someday, when you least expect it, something will melt in your pocket. Something will pop on your workbench. Something will explode in your face. And you'll have a choice. Wipe it off and move on, or ask the question that changes everything. The kitchen fades. The hum becomes your heartbeat. You are held. You are curious. You are home. A breath. Sweet dreams.